a quiet becoming. Before I understood anything, my body knew. It spoke first in tightness and breath that disappeared and tears that arrived without a story. That is how it begins, not in language, not in memory, but in the body lifting its hands and saying, something is here. And later, when I could not hold it alone, I spoke to God. Not politely, not beautifully, but honestly. Sometimes in anger, sometimes in grief, sometimes in the middle of the night with no words at all. Just a presence. Just, are you there? And somehow, even when the world felt unsafe, I felt held, not fixed, not rescued, held. When I first listened to the truth of my body, I became the victim. And I do not shame her. She was telling the truth the only way she could. I was angry. I moved away from my parents. My world dimmed. The ground beneath me no longer trusted itself. I named what happened and everything hurt. I asked God why. I asked Jesus how a child survives with adults. I did not always receive answers, but I received company. Then the ground fell away again, because after the knowing came the chaos. I hated myself. I lived on the edge of my own life. It did not matter if I was careful. It did not matter if I was hurt. Pain had already decided the rules. I breathed, but it felt like breathing underwater. Everything was heavy, stagnant, sick with questions. Will this ever leave me? Is this who I am now? Is this my whole life? My body carried confusion like a second spine. My heart did not know where to rest. I was not trying to die. I just simply not yet know how to live as myself. There was a time I did not recognise who I was. I was living inside damage, inside confusion, inside a life that no longer felt like mine. But even then, I was not forgotten. I knew this without proof. I knew it was the way the body knew warmth, the way the chest knew when it was safe to soften. God never forgot who I was. Not when I was angry, not when I was reckless, not when I was hard to love, not when I could barely breathe inside my own life. I lost many things. I lost years, I lost certainty, I lost the shape of the future I thought I would have. But I was never lost to Him. When I could not hold myself, I was being held. When I could not see a way through, I was being carried through time. And if that had not been true, I would not be here. This is not belief. This is memory written in the nervous system. I am here because I was not forgotten. The little girl also knew. Not in sentences, not in prayer, she could explain. But in the quiet way children know, when something larger than fear is near. She felt it in the way the air softened around her whole, in the small, steady sense of being accompanied, even when no one else could see. She did not have a name for God. She only had the feeling of not being abandoned. And when I grew into an adult, life taught me other things. It taught me pain. It taught me doubt. It taught me how to build walls where trust once lived. My faith grew tired, complicated, heavy with questions. There were years I walked as if alone, but she did not forget. Somewhere inside me, the child kept watch. She held the memory of being held, She did not chase me. She did not argue. She waited. And one day, slowly, after the breaking, after the chaos, after the long learning of how to survive, I found what she had never lost. I did not discover God again. I recognised him. The same presence, the same quiet protection, the same love that had stood beside her when I was too small to understand it. She carried the knowing for me until I was old enough to carry it myself. I was not strength that kept her alive. It was a seed, quiet, hidden, place where pain could not reach it. God planted it, not loudly, not with certainty or proof, but presence. A small knowing pressed gently into the soil of a child's heart. She did not understand it. She only carried it. Through fear, through confusion, through silence, through years that would ask her to forget herself. She kept it safe, not with effort, but with innocence. While the world taught me to doubt, the child guarded what God had given. While I learned how to survive, she remembered how to belong. And when I was old enough to break open, old enough to question, old enough to fall apart without disappearing, she handed it back to me. The same seed, the same knowing, the same quiet truth. You are not alone. You never were. God was there. Before I could speak his name, God stayed. When I could no longer feel him, God waited, while I learnt the long way around. The child did not save me. She kept what God planted until I was strong enough to live from it. Then came blame. It needed somewhere to live, the pain, so it chased faces, histories, moments frozen in time, and that too was part of the healing, because anger is not failure. Blame is not corruption. They are the soul saying, I mattered. This was not love. For a long time, that was the only prayer I had. But healing does not stop at the wound. It keeps walking, and faith walks with it, not as rules, not as perfection, but as a whisperer. A steady, present voice beneath the noise saying, you are safe to unfold now. You do not have to know everything today. I am holding the timing. I would ask, what would God do with this pain? What would Jesus carry? No, not to excuse harm, not to erase judgment, but to decide what kind of heart I wanted to live inside. And slowly another truth arrived. The most people are not demons. They are wounded children who never learned how to stop bleeding on others. The harm can be real without evil being simple. That pain can travel through generations without even being invited. And this is where forgiveness begins, not as obedience, not as duty, but as release. Forgiveness is not saying it was okay. It is saying, I trust God more than I trust this wound. It is choosing peace over keeping the hurt alive in my body. It is laying the weight down and believing I do not have to carry it any further. This part takes time, holy time, because some healing comes like light, a single breath, a single moment, a sudden understanding, and some are layered. 3 memories deep, 5 emotions wide, wounds inside silence. You cannot rush these. The body will not open, the soul will not open, until God whispers gently, now you are strong enough, now you are held enough, now. And that is not weakness, that is love. I have been all of it. The victim, the angry one, the reckless one, the blaming one, the grieving one, the praying one, the forgiving one. None of them were wrong. They were steps. And now life differently, now because nothing happened, but because I am no longer living inside what happened. I listen to my body, I listen to my spirit. I listen for the voice that does not shout, but steadies. I let memories raise when it is ready. I rest when it is not. I rest in timing I cannot see. I do not rush what God is still healing. I do not shame who I had to be to survive. I do not confuse pain with indignity. I am not healed because I forgot. I am healed because I made peace with my story, with my limits, with the long, sacred road it took to arrive here. And something else is true now too. Life opens again. Not perfectly, not without scars, but honestly. I laugh more easily. I breathe more deeply. I notice small kindness, morning light, quiet cups of tea, the safe of ordinary days. I built a life that my nervous system can live in. I chose people who feel calm, not familiar. I choose rest without guilt, joy without apology, hope without fear of punishment. Healing did not shrink my life, it gave it back. I am not loud with this, I do not announce it, but I lived it. In my breath, in my boundaries, in the way I choose gentleness, even when I cannot choose hardness. I am becoming, I am living. Not by force, not by perfection, but by trust. By listening to my body, to my soul, to God's quiet whispers, and that is the deepest kind of healing there is.